Hello. Happy Tuesday. I think it's been a very long time since I had to say that on stream. I used to stream on Tuesdays and I really don't that much anymore. Hi, Maki. How are you? I hope you're well. I'm very excited to continue the journey of Steins Gate Zero. I think we're gonna start with a bathing Maho, if I remember correctly. That's probably where we left off, I want to say. But let's see. I've always loved this art and this Okarin Taro. Oh, hell yeah. Alright, let us continue. And I believe, yep, that's right. It is a bathing Maho. I did update it last stream already. Yes, I did. Okay. She broke down. I do remember why she's like this. She broke down basically after last stream where pretty much they got caught in a crossfire between the rounders of CERN and like the I'm trying to get my notebook. The Russians. And basically, I think Moika and her crew was trying to get the laptop and the hard drive for the purpose of, advancing and furthering their time machine research at CERN, while like the Russians just, of course, they didn't want other people to get it because they have a head start with the Nakabatsu paper, right? And that's pretty much it. So in the crossfire, the Russians decided to basically shoot the laptop and hard drive to bits so that no further information can be extracted. And I guess to a certain extent, it's working out as Okarin wanted it to work out, in that, he doesn't want the research of Makise Kurisa to be used for World War III. So that's it, but it begs the question of what next, right? Obviously, if Kurisa backed up Amadou's memory data before she hopped onto the plane, then theoretically there is a way, potentially, for them to break into Amadou's and try to extract that memory data. Question mark. That's why I meant by my brain is melted, because I don't even know. But let's find out. Maho, what's up? How is the bath? Maho was sinking into a warm bathtub. She could finally feel blood flowing through her body again. The heat melted the tension away from her muscles. Her injured hand hurt a little, but it wasn't unbearable. She felt like she had come back to life. Why is this the music? Once the sun had set, Maho and Rintaro had gone to Ferris, the cat-eared maid at May Queen Plus Nyan Nyan, for help. Ferris's home was at the top of a high-rise condo building in prime Akihabara real estate. From a security perspective, it was superior to the Future Gadgets lab in every way imaginable. Ferris welcomed the two of them, offering them food and a place to sleep. And now, she's even offered them a bath. Maho was a little worried about Hashitaitaru. he had insisted on staying to wait for his younger sister Suzuha and remained alone at the future Gadgets lab. That is terrifying. More than an hour had passed since then. Had Rintaro heard anything? And even if they moved, that didn't mean this place was safe. The group from this afternoon could attack at any time. She couldn't help but feel nervous, and that made her feel terrified and vulnerable as she sat naked in a bath. She got out of the bathtub and hurried to the changing room to wipe herself down. She tried to put on the change of underwear Ferris had given her. Yes? And her hands started to shake. Then her knees buckled, and she fell to the ground.
極度の緊張とそこからの急激な緩和で一時的にひどい筋弛緩が起こってる。
Yes, thank you for the info, but can I not look at your butt? She tried to stay calm by analyzing herself, but that didn't mean she could do anything but lie down.
これはまずいわ。
Alarm bells were going off in her head. She just... That scared me. Ferris! I know it's your home, but you don't get to just do that. She'd just about given up, knowing that it would pass with time when Ferris popped her head in. Oh, she's cute! I love it. I love her whole outfits. I love the fact that, like, this is what she wears on a regular basis. Giant, fluffy, cat-eared headpiece and really squishy animal arms. That's amazing, Ferris. Ferris screamed and started to panic when she saw Maho naked and lying on the floor. Oh, you're gonna attract attention. Don't scream.
いや、別に大丈夫だから。
Fine. Maho's voice was so weak that Ferris didn't even hear her.
とにかくベッドに連れてかなくちゃ。
Ferris tried to pick up the naked Maho and then slipped and dropped her. Oh, I know where this is going. Maho. Maho hit the back of her head on the floor. She saw little stars dancing across her field of vision. If Maho was on the edge of death, she really is dead now. Sprawling naked on the floor, faced up, Maho tried to force herself to stand, but her arms were too weak.
聞いて、これはすぐに治るから。
But Ferris wasn't listening. For some reason, she decided to reach around Maho from behind and try to drag her up. And then Rintaro must have heard Ferris' scream because he ran in.
どうしたんだ、フェイリス。
Oh boy. Breathe, Maho, breathe. It's... She wanted to scream, but all that came out was a tiny whimper. Well, that is a... Oof, I feel bad.
本当に悪かった。この通りだ。
Rintaro lowered his head deeply. Anyone else to join the party? What do you mean? This is a painful, I don't, Poor Maho. How are you, Snazzle? Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. Doesn't it remind you of the good old times when I used to stream once a week on Tuesday? And Steins Gate takes us, what, a good 3-4 months to finish. Oh boy. I wonder how close we are to the ending though, because I mean we probably still have a little bit to go. But I was looking at my Steam playtime and it's like, oh, I've been playing this for like 55 hours, which shocking to me, I guess. Rintaro lowered his head deeply towards Maho as she lay on the bed.
謝らなくてもいいわ。さっきのはあくまでも事故なんだから。
But she still couldn't bear to look at him in the face. Just remembering the despair and embarrassment she felt when he saw her naked body made her want to bury her head in a pillow and flail her legs back and forth. To make matters worse, she still hadn't been able to stand up after all that, and Rintaro had been forced to carry her to the bed. She'd never been touched by a boy before, so it was only today that she realized how rugged Male's arms were. Being carried was extremely uncomfortable to the point where she'd squirmed around and almost slipped out of his arms. So she's had no choice but to curl herself into a ball and let Rintaro do whatever he wanted with her, which made her feel really strange. Language, narrator, language. We could have written this so much better. And now, she couldn't even bear to look at his face. Phrasing, right? Please.
にゃー。フィリスが慌てたのがいけなかったんだにゃ。
Oh, it is actually your fault, Ferris, but it's okay. I forgive you. You came from a good place. Everybody came from a good place. Let's just never speak of this again. Ferris was sitting next to Rintaro, feet under her knees, with her shoulders slumped.
いいのよ。むしろ驚かせてしまってごめんなさい。
体は平気なのか？病院に行かなくても。
強い緊張が続いていたから、その反動が来ただけ。もう少し休めば回復すると思う。
But honestly though, like, let's think about how lucky she was when this happened. She was no longer in the bathtub. That would have been really bad. She could have drowned in the bathtub.
心配かけてしまったわね。みっともないわ。
みっともないもんか。今日みたいなことに巻き込まれれば誰だって怖い。具合だって悪くもなる。
あなたでも怖い？
ああ。
そう。
I think that was the first time that we actually got caught. Well, maybe not. Probably during World War III, those scenes, we did get caught in crossfires, but maybe not as directly as it was.
今夜はもう休むといいにゃ。事件のこととか、これからどうするかとか、難しい話は元気になってから考えるといいにゃ。そうね。ええ、そうするわ。ありがとう。
Oh, I just want to see Ferris's giant paws. I think they're so cute. Maho closed her eyes. The lights went out and Rintaro and Ferris left the room. She lay on the bed and tried not to think about anything. She could hear the pounding of her heart. It would get louder and then softer. The rhythm was very strange. And she could hear a kind of static noise mixed in with her heartbeat, like a broken TV. Was it exhaustion induced? Tiredness? Yeah, tiredness. Whatever it was, once she noticed it, she couldn't sleep.
そういえば、岡部さんが精神安定剤を服用しているって言ってたわね。
Wait, static though. I don't know what I'm thinking. She wasn't supposed to do this, but if she looked at their ingredients, she could tell what medication had what effect. Should she take a look and have him lend her some? If that wasn't possible, she could at least get some over-the-counter antihistamines to use as sleep aid. She turned over.
大声を出さないで、言うことを聞いて。さもないと、命はない。
Nightmare? Suddenly she heard a voice break through the unpleasant noise. She gulped and leaped out of bed. Terror-stricken, Maho tried to crawl to the door, but her legs won't move like she wanted to. She couldn't stand up. The voice in her ears followed her wherever she went. It was like a wild animal toying with its prey. Wait. Huh? Since when does CERN have... Okay. All of the hairs on her body were standing up on end. Her jaw was chattering so hard, she bit her tongue. She desperately crawled across the carpet toward the door.
一人殺してみせればいい。
I think she just... No, it's see-through, right? So... Just PTSD, potentially?
やめて、やだ、やだ。
ヒヤジョさん、おい。
She woke up. Okay, never mind. She woke up to find herself being violently shaken by the shoulders. She looked around the room, panting. She was in bed, and Rintaro was looking down at her. Her whole body was sweaty and she felt sick. There was a burning sensation deep in her stomach.
どうした？
誰かがここに。
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think just a nightmare. Rintaro looked around. Ferris came a moment later, as well as the older man who was her butler, but they were simply standing at the entrance of the room, concerned.
きっと悪い夢を見たんだ。
The antique clock on the shelf said that at some point it had gotten past 1 a.m. She must have slept for hours without realizing it.
そうね、夢だったみたい。
She took a painful breath and wiped the sweat off her forehead without realizing that she sounded just like a little child. Oh, Maho. She sent Ferris and the butler back to their rooms. Rintaro brought her a towel from the washroom.
ひどい汗だ。拭いた方がいい。
She did as he said and wiped the beads of sweat off her face, chest, and limbs. As she was deciding whether or not to wipe the inside of her pajamas, Rintaro took the hint and turned around.
俺も自分の部屋に戻るから、何かあったらいつでも声をかけてくれ。ん？
吉田さんは？
あ、さっき連絡が来たよ。鈴葉とも合流したって。
Oh, good. Where are they now?
そう。
それじゃあ。
Rintaro was about to leave her bedside, but Maho, and she couldn't believe she was doing this, reached out and grabbed the hem of his shirt without thinking. Oh my gosh. It's like such a anime trope.
待って。お願い。少しだけでいいから、ここにいて。
ヒヤちゃんさん。
I guess you guys can move to first name basis now, right? Like, we don't need to stick with the honorifics and the politeness anymore.
一人にしないで。
Maho was surprised by the words she was saying, but the thought of spending this terrible night all by herself was too much for her. Rintaro must have understood how she felt because he nodded without smiling.
わかった。眠るまで一緒にいるよ。
Oh.
ありがとう。わがまま言ってごめんなさい。
いや、いいんだ。どうせ俺もなかなか寝つけなかったし。後ろ向いてるから汗だけはちゃんと拭くといい。
ええ。
While Rintaro stared back at the door, she took off her pajamas and wiped off the thick layer of sweat that covered her whole body. She tried to put her pajamas on again, but they were too drenched for her to want to wear them. She had no choice but to dive back under the covers in nothing but her underwear and bring the comforter way above her chest.
もういいわ。
Amidst the dim glow of the nightlight, Rintaro brought a chair to the side of the bed and sat down.
ここで見張ってるから何も怖がらなくていい。
Tell us a
これなら
bedtime
安心だろ。
story.
不安か？
うん。大丈夫。
Maho's face felt hot from some feeling that she didn't understand. She sank deeper under the blanket and turned away from Rintaro. She softly closed her eyes. She could feel his presence behind her. The two of them stopped talking, and the only noise was the distant sounds of night coming from beyond the curtain. How long did they spend like that? Just as she was about to fall into a light sleep, she heard a soft voice in her ears.
ヒヤジョンさん、まだ起きてるか？
ええ。
She felt herself waking up again. She opened her eyes and turned back towards Rintaro, only to see him staring toward the window. It was as if he was trying to see some sight that lay beyond it. His profile is so handsome. Wait, what? Maho? For some reason, that was the thought that came to her.
どうかしたの？
Rintaro seemed unwilling to talk, so Maho decided to speak first. He swallowed loudly.
本当はずっと言おうと思ってたけど勇気がなかった。すまない。
何のこと？
俺は一つだけ
Is this about Chris's death?
一つだけ。
君に重大なことを隠している。
Oh, the silence is delicious. Let's go. Maho leaned forward, not caring that he might see her chest.
さっき話したよな。別の世界線のことやそこで出会ったクリスのこと、タイムマシンやタイムリープのこと。
Yeah, what egroge is this? I know, right? Did Hastaitaru have anything to do with this?
ええ。
クリスとその父親のことも。
ええ。
But I didn't tell you that I killed her.
あの時本当はもう一つ言わなきゃいけないことがあったんだ。でもどうしても言い出せなかった。
His head was slumping forward in a chair. Maho waited silently for his next words. Despite the late hour, she heard a helicopter from a distance. For some reason, it sounded really loud. She hadn't seen the news, but it was possible that the media was still talking about the gun battle that had taken place this afternoon.
これは君にだけは絶対に話すべきことだったのに。
When he finally spoke, his expression was unlike any look she'd ever seen on his face before. It was pained, sad, and suffering, like someone at the bottom of a deep, dark place. And yet, there was something in his eyes that hinted at incredible self-hatred and rage.
岡部さん。
Suddenly, her chest felt like it was about to burst from pain. She didn't know where the pain was coming from, but she wanted Rintaro to stop looking like that.
あの日ラジカンでクリスを。
Wow, he chose the worst wording to approach this. Quite literally the worst wording. He might as well have been a wall with a knife stuck in there, right? His hands were forming some kind of shape, like he was holding an invisible knife.
クリスを殺したのは。
もういいわ。
She screamed, unable to take it anymore. She rolled out of bed, forgetting that she was dressed, forgetting how she was dressed, and covered Intaro's hands with her own.
いいの、もういい。それ以上言わなくていいから。私はあなたを信じているわ。だから話さなくていい。いつかその時が来たら嫌でも聞かせてもらうことになると思う。でもそれは今じゃない。その時が来るまでは口をつぐんでおきなさい。
She strengthened her grip and forced him to let go of the invisible knife. Oh, that was a beautiful line. That was a beautiful line, okay. Rintaro nodded without saying another word. They simply stared at each other for a while. Maho couldn't look away from his gaze. It was as if he was clinging to something or wandering in search of salvation. Cover yourself, girl. She sneezed.
風邪ひくぞ。
And it was only then that she realized that she was holding Rintaro's hands while wearing next to nothing. Rintaro looked a little embarrassed.
ごめんなさい。
She quickly jumped back into the blankets. She curled up into a ball and tore at her hair, screaming inside her mind. She let a boy see her naked not once but twice. You were wearing your underwear, right? It's okay, it's not too bad. It's like the beach.
私、今度こそもう寝るわ。
Yeah. What a day.
邪魔して悪かった。
邪魔だなんて思ってないわよ。
I know. Oh, absolutely. They're critical, right? They're absolutely critical. But so Maho is developing feelings for Okabe, which unfortunate.
でも、さっきの話はこの場限りにしていい？
あ、
いい？
あ、ありがとう。ヒヤジョーさん。
Again, I don't think you guys need to be on last name basis anymore.
お礼なんて言われる筋合いはないわ。それじゃあ、おやすみなさい。
おやすみ。
The room got quiet again. The adrenaline rush kept Maho awake. After a while, she heard snores coming from Rintaro's direction. Evidently, he had fallen asleep. He must have been tired. He went through the same attack that Maho had. Of course he was. His breathing wasn't peaceful at all. It was pain. He may have been in the grip of some terrible nightmare. Maho hesitated several times, but finally she turned over and stretched out her hand from the blankets. Oh, they were in the same room? That didn't occur to me until now. Interesting. She softly touched the backside of his hand. She felt its warmth on her fingertips.
クリスはあなたのことをなんて呼んでいたのかしら。
Okabe! Basically.
岡部さん？それとも凛太郎だったのかな。
She didn't know, but it didn't matter.
しっかりしなさい、岡部凛太郎。この私が好きになった人はそんなに弱い男だったわけ？
I don't know. Like, to me, I didn't like the fact that they made Maho fall in love with Rintaro, but I don't want her on the same path that Kurisu was, you know? Like the whole genius girl, and they were in competition, or at least Maho felt like she was in competition with Kurisu for everything, and now including in a very like twisted and sick way Rintaro. I don't like that. Everyone falling in love with Okabe is a bit cringe. Yeah, I mean, I get, there are a few people that I could accept, right? Like obviously Kurisu makes a lot of sense, and I think Mayuri makes a lot of sense, but everyone else just feels unnecessary. That's enough. Two is already enough love interest, and with the importance that the two ladies play in this game, right? Plot-wise, it's sufficient. I know Ruka, Ferris, and Maho is just not necessary, and I'm glad Moika never fell. That was good. I appreciated that. Like sometimes we need girls in the game who are just straight up psychopaths. So Rias too, but yeah, just people, it's not necessary. She tried to think about how Kurisu would say those words, and eventually, Rintaro's breathing started to become more peaceful. Relieved, she let go, and then she changed her mind and grabbed the hem of his shirt again. Oh gosh. She felt embarrassed, as if she was a little kid, but at the same time she felt like now she might not have any more nightmares. That night, for the first time in a very long while, she dreamed of a smiling Kurisu. Maho and I stayed at Ferris's house for several days after that. Now that Kurisu's computer was destroyed, the odds that everyone would come after us had gone way down, but there was still a chance. Just to be extra careful, I stayed away from the lab.
Maho, Rintaro.
I have PTSD from this guy. Dr. Leskinen looked a little thinner since the last time I'd seen him. Are you flying back alone? Welcome back, Lenia. You managed to skip the least important part of the story, so you didn't miss anything. Except that Maho is apparently in love with Okabe, which I'm up in arms about, but it's okay.
Maho mo taihen datta ne.
Oh, she sure has. I had too. Dr. Leskinen held Maho tightly in his huge arms. The difference in size between them was so great that Maho looked like some kind of a stuffed animal. Dr. Leskinen and Maho were leaving the country in the afternoon on a weekday, so I was the only one who could see them off. Since I'd been with Maho the whole time instead of only seeing them off, I'd actually just brought her here. Maho, after all, was the kind of person who was incapable of getting to an airport on her own. Okay. I was amazed she survived this long given her lack of basic skills. We held Maho's goodbye party last night at Ferris's house. Ferris was there, so were Mayuri and Daru, and the others from the Christmas party. All were sad to see her go.
Rintaro, Maho to issho ni ite kurete arigatou. Hontou ni sewa ni natta ne.
いえ、
それでうちの研究室にはいつ頃来られるのかな?
In the US?
えっと
He wasn't kidding about that, huh?
勉強して少しでも早く行けるように頑張ります。その時は俺から連絡しても。
How long will I stream today? Probably 2 to 3 hours ish. I don't plan to finish today. It's very unlikely that I will.
もちろんいつでも待っているからね。
I imagine that we still have like maybe 5 hours plus left. I don't know. I'm not sure. He smiled as he took my hand and shook it. I was really glad to hear it. After meeting Amadeus, my desire to go to Victor... Yeah, please don't finish it today. Okay, I won't. After meeting Amadeus, my desire to go to Victorcondria had only increased. Honestly, if I were to finish it today, I would probably have to call in sick tomorrow, which I'm sure my boss would be thrilled to hear.
岡部さん、お礼を言わせて。いろいろとありがとう。あなたがいなかったら、私は今頃命はなかったかもしれないわ。
I just want to know how you get your luscious hair, please. Tell me what shampoo you use.
大げさだな。
いいえ、本心よ。本当に感謝している。
I know. Like, honestly, I know like Moika has beautiful hair too, but my favorite is probably Maho's. It just looks so healthy and wild and fluffy, and I'm so envious.
私もあなたのことを待っているから。頑張って。
あ、君も研究を頑張ってくれ。
それでリンタロウ、事前に連絡しておいた通り、アメデウスのアクセス権は今日ここで解除させてもらうことになるんだ。
Oh, that's different. Okay, so this is a key difference from the last path that we took, in that we actually lost access for Amadeus. Let me write that down. Yeah, right? What are you plotting, Leskinen? He is terrifying. I cannot tell you how scared I am of Leskinen. I think he is worse than... No, Nai still tops the chart for me. Nai is still terrifying. But it would be Nai, then Leskinen, then Ryas. Like, I think he's worse than Ryas, in my opinion.
いいね。
はい。
Bye, Kurisu. Bye. Bye. Evidently, they couldn't leave me with access to Amadeus after they left the country. I was only supposed to test her during their stay here anyway.
クリスに最後に挨拶するかい？
Bye. Bye, bye, Maho. Bye.
そうですね。
And Kurisu, bye, bye.
じゃあ一言だけいいですか？
Crazy scientist girls, bye.
もちろん。
Oh my god. No, don't get me wrong. I love them both, but it's just... Oh, it feels like a long time coming, and it feels like it took forever for us to get to this phase where we can actually say goodbye, right? And Dr. Psycho Leskinen too, bye! I know, especially him. I'm very happy that I don't have to deal with him anymore. Yes, Kurise.
何？私にもお別れの挨拶してくれるの？
Oh, you know everything, girl. Kurise was expressionless for some reason.
まあな。必要なかったか？
私なんかよりも先に真帆先輩には挨拶したんでしょうね。
What is this jealousy? Hello?
ちゃんとしたわよ。
Maho interjected before I could speak.
それならいいけど。
Oh, okay, never mind. Kurisu was inside my screen. Was it a good thing that I'd spoken to her like this? Or a bad thing? In the end, I knew I needed to forget about Makise Kurisu, but I couldn't. I couldn't escape from this curse.
アクセス権がなくなったらもう会えなくなるな。
まあ、私の話し相手になってくれたことには多少は感謝してる。
I mean, until you get to Victochondria, right? I mean, Luskinen has been very like hint hint wink wink wanting you to be at Victochondria. He's like willing to pay for your flight, willing to pay for your lodging, doing everything in his power to get you there. And you know, now he's adding Chris on the wager too, so
レスキネン教授の研究室に来る可能性はあるんでしょ？一応再会する時まであんたのことは覚えておいてあげる。
Wow, I'm honored, Kurisu. She's such a tsundere. Oh god, Okabe, we're sinking. It's bad. We're at that point in the game again. Ay, tsundere, a girl who is usually aloof and acerbic, soon, but becomes affectionate. Dere, when alone with her romantic interest. However, the definition has become more broad recently.
ツンデレ？何それ？知らない言葉を使わないで。
That's exactly how tsunderes react. Textbook.
顔が赤いぞ。
この子照れてるわね。
Oh.
クリスはシャイだね。ははは。
もう教授まで。
元気でというのはちょっと違うな。君は別に病気にはならないわけだし。
Can you imagine bidding a robot or an AI goodbye and you're like, stay healthy, be well?
あまりヒアジョーさんのことをからかうなよ。
It's adorable. So cute.
はいはい。言われなくても分かってるわよ。
Don't get infected by viruses and don't let people hack you. I think this is what she needs to hear right now, actually. Actually, part of me, I'm kind of concerned for the Amadeus Kurisu because now that her computer and her hard drive are both destroyed, right? The only place that her theory of time machine exists is within Amadeus. I mean, assuming that she backed herself up after she wrote the paper. So there is a possibility because in the really, really bad end that we had with Luskinen, he mentioned that, yes, you know, he would prefer to like reload the memories into a human body and torture the human to get information rather than having them inside Amadeus because, you know, a human body breaks, basically, and can give information that way. So I don't know if they're able to load potentially Amadeus Kurisu onto a human body and do it that way, or if they can somehow torture Amadeus in a virtual environment and get information out of her. This is just me, brain going all over the place, but I'm a little worried about her. I really am.
それならいいんだ。
あんたがいつかそんな風に寂しそうに笑うんじゃなくて。
If only you know for whom our smile is sad.
心の底から笑える日が来るといいわね。
I guess even an AI could see right through me. Girl, forget it, this man is broken beyond repair. I know, right? Maho in the previous scene was definitely radiating the I can fix him energy. And I was so angry. Like, oh my god. Makise Kurisu really was one hell of a woman.
それじゃ。
あ、
Kurisu disappeared from my screen. I turned to Dr. Leskinen and nodded, deleting the Amadeus icon from my screen. Is it
アク
really
セス
gone
券
though?
の解除は後でこちらで手続きしておくよ。テスターとして協力してくれてありがとう。貴重なデータが取れた。
Thank you for participating in the survey.
こちらこそありがとうございました。
I bowed deeply to both Maho and Dr. Leskinen. As I watched their plane take off into the distance, I noticed that it felt like there was a hole in my heart. I clutched my phone tightly. Its connection to Amadeus was gone. It's time to let go. Except it is not time to let go because we're gonna... keep going.
かがりちゃん、今日から私とあなたは正式な親子になるのよ。
I have a... Mom Mayuri has a very special place in my heart, even more than the present day Mayuri. Like... This was when Kagari was 6. Okay. Oh, I didn't know that before. So Kagari adopted at 6. So there were definitely places in Tokyo or whatever that wasn't like entirely obliterated from World War III, right? Like this looks like a normal building with agencies and stuff like that. She'd been living in a facility for war orphans and getting treatment at a dedicated clinic next door. It was a completely different place than normal hospitals, which were overflowing with casualties from the war. It was an idyllic garden, shut off from the despair of the outside world so that children could live in peace. Wow. Okay. That was where she met her mom. Mom, Shina Mayuri, was a Class 2 caregiver at the facility who was always very nice to her.
本当？ママがかがりの本当のママになるの？ええ、そうよ。
Class 2 caregivers. It gives you a glimpse of what the society looks like in that distant future. And of course, Mayuri will be a caregiver.
やったー！
It was impossible to express in words how happy Kagari had felt. Being Mom's real daughter meant that Kagari had become her real name. Kagari became Shina Kagari.
ほら、くっつかないの。かがりちゃんは甘えん坊さんね。じゃあ、ここから出られるんだよね。ママと一緒に暮らせるんだよね。ごめんね。かがりちゃんにはもう少し治療が必要みたいなの。
Oh, for her PTSD, probably.
そういうことなんだ。
あ、先生。
Kagari didn't know the doctor's name, but he was a nice old man who was always kind to her.
あと半年もすれば終わるからね。それまで我慢するんだよ。
Does mental health treatments come with duration?
半年もですか？この前のお話ではあと2週間ぐらいで大丈夫だと。
Interesting.
それは 身体的な傷の話なんだ。東京大空襲で子供が受けた心的外傷後ストレスは大人の比ではないからね。それに昨日の診断で分かったことなんだが、かがりちゃんはまだ怖い夢を見るらしい。
そうなの？かがりちゃん。そんなことないもん。もう怖い夢なんて見ないよ。楽しい夢ばっかりだよ。楽しい楽しい。
Oh, that breaks my heart.
かがりちゃん、嘘は良くないよ。それでは治療はもっと長引いてしまう。夜中に怖い夢にうなされて起きることが未だによくあるのだと昨日話してくれたよね。
まあ、そうなの。
この子の脳内に空爆の記憶が恐怖として残っている証拠だろうね。きちんと治療しておかなければ後で取り返しがつかなくなる。
そうですね。
というわけで治療を続けてもよろしいかね、お母さん。
あ、はい。かがりちゃん、頑張って悪い病気をやっつけようね。
I just want to point this out. Relative to her height, Mayuri has like the tiniest feet in this drawing. It's so funny. Well, actually, all of them have the tiniest feet in this drawing. It's just so small. Okay, I'm sorry. Mom rubbed her head. Kagari felt so at peace that she could cry.
いい子だ。
じゃあ、また後でね、かがりちゃん。
Mom took her hand away, and instead, the doctor took Kagari's hand. She was taken to the usual room. There was a white reclining chair, and next to it, some kind of mechanical system connected to a headset.
聞こえる。いつもの声。
君はママを守るんだ。この世界を守るんだ。そのために君は生まれてきたんだよ。
Wait a second, what? So she was being brainwashed and purposefully put to Mayuri. I don't know if it's directed at Mayuri, but I think it might be. What happened to her? What? She couldn't remember when she started hearing the voice. But by the time she was 6, whenever she was worried, uncertain, or in trouble, she could hear it. It was always kind and strong, and it always cheered her up. In Kagari's childish mind, she started to think that it might be the voice of God. Since only she could hear it, everyone else said it was just an illness. But Mom was the only person who believed her.
ママを守るんだ。だから治療頑張るんだ。
Kagari's young heart was filled with the hope that she could someday live with Mom. That's Moika's room. So Kagari was around her too. Is around her too. Is around her too. As soon as she opened the door, Sina Kagari was struck by an unpleasant wave of heat. It was early June, and this was the first day to hit summer temperatures. It was hot enough that just walking outside could cause you to sweat, but the small Japanese-style room had thick curtains and the windows were closed. The room was dark and cramped. There were so many clothes on the floor, there was no place to stand. It wasn't just clothes. There were all kinds of filthy things. Bags with half-eaten snack bread still in them, half-rotted food packs, plastic convenience store bag overflowing with trash, all scattered around the floor. And the area around the half-naked girl sitting against a wall was covered in bandages and gauzes, soaked with blood and pus. There were bandages tied around her exposed stomach, chest, and limbs, but these too were soaked with blood. The room was filled with a sickeningly sweet stench, though there was no way to know if it was coming from the garbage or coming from her. The owner of the room, Kiryu Moika, raised her head and looked at her, eyes filled with hope.
M4 まだ生きてたか。
Jeez. Who the hell are you, Kagari, then? When she saw Kagari, who was still wearing her shoes as she came into the room, her shoulders slumped.
FB じゃない。誰？
命の恩人に向かってひどい言い草ね。
Moika gave a painful cough and spit up some stomach fluid mixed with blood. Ooh, she's in bad shape. It stained her thighs and the floor. Her wounds must have opened again because the bandages around her stomach began to turn red. So she was definitely hurt in a crossfire then. She spends 5 months like this with no treatment from a doctor. It's been 5 months since the gunfight? Moika had gotten into a gunfight with the Russian army and failed her mission as a rounder. She lost 2 of her companions, and her target, Makisa Kurisa's laptop, was also destroyed. They pinned the blame on her. She was wounded and almost killed. It was Kagari who saved her and brought her to this room. Oh, no, CERN was trying to get rid of her then. It must be. Okay. But if someone had... Never mind. But if someone with a gunshot wound went to the hospital, the police would be notified. And for that reason, she never gotten any real treatment. Her wounds had become infected, and even 5 months later, they still brought her incredible pain. She's still bleeding after 5 months? Her terrible fever hadn't let up at all, and it wasn't rare for it to go from 39 degrees to over 40. She's still alive. That's incredible. But Moika didn't seem very interested in her wounds. She was more interested in sending messages with the phone in her hands. She must have been sending more messages to her beloved boss. In the past 5 months, she sent almost 1,000.
どうして FB どうして返事をくれないの
Interesting. I wonder if Moika was brainwashed too. That's why she has such a fixation on FB. FB was Moika's boss in Rounders, a woman who always gave orders to Moika via email. Moika worshipped her to a degree that far exceeded what could occur within a normal employee relationship. The shock of being abandoned by FB had hurt her many times more than her actual wounds. Kagari tossed the bag she had slung over her shoulder at Moika's feet, along with 2 plastic bags. The backpack was filled with medicine that wasn't available without a doctor's prescription. Along with it was a whole box of illegal drugs used only for the treatment of severe pain. Normally, these would be kept under strict control at a hospital, where no normal person could get them. Both of the plastic bags were filled with canned goods and other things Kagari had chosen because they had the lowest probability of spoiling.
生きる気がなくなったら言うといいわ。代わりに毒でも持ってきてあげるから。
But Moika didn't seem to notice Kagari at all anymore. She was completely unresponsive. Kagari had gotten used to her attitude over the last 5 months. But she wasn't just going to go home today. She wordlessly reached for Moika's cell phone. Moika tried to resist, but evidently she had no strength left. Kagari was easily able to grab the phone. It was covered in blood and pus, and Kagari forced it into her pocket without hesitation. Moika started crawling toward her. It was like something out of a zombie movie.
勘違いしないで。FB から新しい命令よ。
Moika froze.
FB の命令。そう、受け取りなさい。
Kagari took another cell phone out of her pocket. It was the same Japanese cell phone that Moika had been using, minus the dirt and blood stains.
今までの回線はロシアやアメリカの諜報部に傍受されていて使えないわ。だから今後はこっちを使って指令が来る。
Moika reached a trembling hand out toward the phone. And in an instant, she snatched it away and clutched it to her chest, like it was her own child.
FB はこの携帯ならメールをくれるの？多分もう来てるはずよ。
Moika quickly opened the screen on her phone. When she saw the words on the screen, tears started to flow down her face.
M4 私の可愛い娘大変だったわね。私もとても心を痛めています。失敗したことは残念だったけれど、あなたが生きていてくれて本当によかった。早く傷を治して私からの次のメールを待っていてね。今度こそ任務を完全に遂行し、私の信頼を取り戻してあなたのことを心から信じていますからね。私の大切な大切な娘へ FB より
Oh boy. I'm glad she did, because then I didn't have to. What happened to you, Moika? Jesus, I know. It's her and Kagari and whatever is about to happen to Maho. Of course, this message wasn't from FB. Kagari had written it herself. Oh. Keep someone at the brink of death for 5 months, then give them exactly what they want as a bait. And you can easily put anyone under your control. I take that back. I should not have felt any sympathy. Kagari knew this well. Holy crap, Kagari is evil. That's kind of amazing. The light suddenly returned to Moika's face. She spilled out the contents of Kagari's backpack like a woman possessed.
傷を治したいの。FB の信頼答えなくちゃ。
それでいい、M4。
Kagari smiled, satisfied, and knelt down in front of her.
私が治療してあげるわ。包帯を全部取りなさい。
Where is there more naked ladies? Can we... Oh, thank you. Okay. When Kagari left the apartment, the sun had set. She spent several hours treating Moika's wounds. Her hands still smelled of medicine. It wouldn't go away for days, possibly. She sighed and put on her full-face motorcycle helmet and went to the parking lot and got on her bike.
神様の声、そろそろ聞こえるかな？
Interesting. You see the parallels that they're drawing between Moika and Kagari? To Moika, the messages from FBs are whispers of God, whereas Kagari's is equally attached to the sound that she hears in the back of her head. She took off on her motorcycle. And now we are June 25th. June 25th. It was almost July. The rainy season hadn't been this bad. Hadn't been that bad this year, and what little remained of it had already disappeared. Temperature-wise, summer had come a long time ago. In other words, it had almost been a year since it happened. And then one Saturday afternoon, if I stayed home, not only would it be hot, but Dad would be on my case about helping with the family business. To get away, I come to the area around Ikebukuro Station. A year ago, I would have gone to the lab, but with Suzuha living there now, I'd mostly stopped going. It was like deja vu. But that meant that it was hard to find a place to study on my days off. It was too much trouble to go to the university, and the classrooms probably weren't open on weekends anyway. So we're in a Starbucks. After a lot of research, I settled on spending my free days visiting this cafe near my parents' home and spending a few hours there. In fact, a lot of the other patrons did the same thing I did, buying a single cup of coffee and sitting there for hours on end. Some brought books, some brought computers. I chuckled to myself as I realized that I joined the ranks of other normies. I can't read/study in public places, too much happening around me. Me neither. I was saying the same thing when we went down, when we had like a similar scene last, that other path. I can't do it. I tried, I really did try, and I couldn't study in, especially a cafe where like people are coming and going in a way. My university, when I back when I was studying, which was a long time ago now, had a what should we call it? A quiet library. So it's like it's practically silent in the library at all times, and that's the only place I would study. The other libraries on campus were like, people would do group work there or etc. I couldn't get anything into my brain when there's like sounds around me and people moving around me. Where are you now? Oh, we had the same thing. Oh, the usual cafe, right? I just went to your place and you weren't home. You did? Did my dad make a nuisance of himself again? It's okay, he gave me some barley tea. I have to go shopping, will you come with me? Okay! Thank you. Exactly. Okay, I'll leave now, wait for me. I will always wait for you, Mayuri. So she went to my house? My family's business was called Okabe Green Grocer. It was a beat-up old store located in a rundown shopping street. The place was almost 40 years old. I really wanted them to rebuild it. My mind had wandered. Mayuri was going to be here in less than 15 minutes, so maybe it was time to call it a day. I'd worked pretty hard during the morning, so it wasn't too bad. I was a little surprised at how hard I've been working lately. I could feel how having a goal gave me energy. Yeah, going to Victor Contra University and connect with Kurisu again, right? I need to get to Victor Contra University as soon as I could.
ビクトル・コンドリア大学か。
I was still in contact with Maho via email and chat. She was evidently busy with her research because she was always sleepy. I took out my phone. I found myself looking for a certain icon on the home screen, but of course, I deleted it myself 6 months ago. Amadeus. Was Kurisu doing well? Knowing her, she was probably coming up with some complicated theory or teasing Maho. It was also possible that she was visiting at channel and hiding it from Maho.
アットチャンネル。
That's right. Kurisu had internet access, so it would make sense if she accessed at channel. But given that,
アマデウスってネット掲示板に書き込んだりすることもできるんだろうか。
I mean, nothing is stopping her, right? Kurisu had spent a lot of effort last summer trying to argue with John Titor on that channel. That happened in the Alpha World line, though. Still, it meant that she was okay with posting, so there was a chance that Kurisu was doing the same thing. I'm sure you can search by post history? If Amadeus had even temporary access to the network, then just maybe. I opened the web browser on my smartphone, and without really expecting much, ran a search for a nickname I knew I'd never forget. Kind of stalkerish behavior? Kurigohan and Kamehameha. It was the handle that Kurisu has once used. I spoke without thinking. I bowed my head a little toward the other customers who were staring at me coldly and looked back at my phone. Oh, here we go. Amazingly, the research turned up several hundred results. She has not been wasting time, has she? There were all comments on the channel. I took a look at the dates on the results page. The oldest dated back to 2008. Those must have been written by Kurisu when she was alive. I never expected to see traces of her here.
っていうか、投稿しすぎだろう。
I didn't realize she spent this much time on Ad Channel. Like, let's be honest, what would you do if you don't need to sleep? Or eat, or use the bathroom, or need to take care of your physical needs? If you have no physical needs, what would you do with the extra time? I would probably be playing a lot of video games and be on the internet too. A lot. So, I don't blame her. Her comments were spread out on a lot of different boards. Physics, mathematics, science fiction, and oh, of course, the occult boards. For example, in the science fiction threads, she had passionate discussions about time machines. But unlike in the Alpha War line, she never came out and denied the possibility of a time machine. Surprisingly, some of her comments seemed to be quite the opposite.
いや、意外でもなんでもないか。
After all, she'd gone through all the work required to write a paper on time machines. Compared to that, her comments on the occult boards were brutal. She would absolutely crush arguments of anyone who dared to propose anything even the least bit unscientific. Supernatural phenomena like crop circles, poltergeists, and spontaneous human combustion, out-of-place artifacts, the Mayan doomsday calendar, conspiracy theories about how human DNA have been brought from another planet. She broke them down and refuted them with cold thoroughness that even drove away her own side. And if anybody dared challenge her, she'd leave them flat on the canvas. It was just like Kurisu. Her comments offered so little room for discussion, it was aggravating to read them. Did she actually enjoy all this occult stuff? She put enough energy into this that I couldn't help but wonder.
いくらなんでも大人げなさすぎだろ。
The first time I met her at last year's ATF, I'd gone through the same experience. But after a certain point, the Kurigohan and Kamehameha comments suddenly stopped. The cutoff date was July 27th of last year, the day Kurisu died. Interesting, so Amadeus Kurisu has not been posting. Her last comment was a slightly too heated response to someone who was mocking Dr. Nakabachi's time machine press conference. My chest tightened with the sensations of nostalgia and sorrow. I decided to close the browser, but then I stopped as soon as I saw her next comment. I brought the phone closer to my face and stared at it again and again. The date of the comment was December 1st, 2010.
これってまさか。
Kurisu died in July 2010. So this couldn't possibly be her. So who was it? Was it someone else who'd taken over the identity of Kurigohan Kamehameha? Or was it... Since there was no trip code, I couldn't tell for certain. What is trip code? Trip code, an encoded string of characters that appears next to a name on @channel. By entering your name as name, number, some word, you can cause some word to appear in an encrypted form. December 1st was just after Maho and Dr. Leskinen had come to Japan, and also about the time I'd encountered Kurisu. After that, Kurigohan and Kamehameha commented at about a rate of once per week. I looked for the most recent comment.
昨日の夜じゃないか。
It was a discussion about relativity theory. She really did get foul-mouthed when she went on Ad Channel. What did she say? Let's read this. So you're one of those people who thinks that Michael's immorally experiment led to the development of relativity theory. No wonder you weren't making any sense. Go back to grade school, fool, lol. No point in even talking to you, Lamau. Oof. But then I realized that she said something similar to me face to face. If this wasn't some imposter, if it really was Kurise, what a miraculous yet stupid story. Did Maho and Dr. Leskinen know about this, I wonder? Probably not. Kurise wasn't going to tell them. I couldn't help but laugh. Should I try to make contact with her? I wanted to see if this Kurigohan Kamehameha really was Kurise. And then I came up with a good handle. Sarieri's neighbor. Of course. This was a knockoff of Maho's ID. If Kurigohan and Kamehameha really was Kurise, she'd have to notice it, right? Okay. I thought I smelled moron. It's true that the original purpose of that experiment was only to prove the existence of aether, but you can't deny that it helped Einstein. As a result, you can say that it formed the basis of his theories. Someone needs to go back to grade school, and it ain't me. And there, it's posted. How about that? I wrote something deliberately provocative, and importantly, I'd mixed in some mistakes. Not to brag, but I thought I knew a lot more about Kurise than Maho did.
あっさり釣られるはずだ。クリスならな。
Bait. In fishing, it means to add bait to a hook. In net slang, however, it means to bait out reactions from people via posting provocative opinions or false information. The person doing the baiting then enjoys watching the angry reactions should the victim take the bait. Often abbreviated as B8.
Okarin?
Mayuri? She is so cute. At some point, Mayuri had walked up in front of me.
なんだ、もう来てたのか。
I'd been so busy writing my comment that I hadn't noticed. I hurriedly put the phone away and stood up.
じゃあ、行くか。どうした？
行こう。
Mayuri and I left the cafe. Mayuri and I met up and headed for Tokyo Hands. Oh, we were here before. When I stepped inside the air-conditioned store, I felt refreshed. If it was this hot in June, I shudder to think what it was going to be like in July or August.
それで、一体何を買うつもりなんだ？
商品宣伝用のポップを作るんだ。だからそれ用のカードとか蛍光ペンとか。
I think she's making the adverts for Okabe's, family's grocery store again.
今年は込みまで同人誌でも出す気か？
違うよ。岡部製菓店で使うんだよ。
は？なんだって？
My family business?
今日オカリンの家に行った時にね、おじさんとそんな話になって、じゃあマユシーが作りますって立候補したの。
おいおい。
My dad could be such a jerk.
お前がそんなことする必要ないんだぞ。
でもマユシーがやりたいからやっているのです。
本当にいいのか？
オカリンやおじさんおばさんには つもお世話になってるから。
じゃあ代わりに今度何かプレゼントするよ。
本当？嬉しいな。
I took a quick look around and saw that they were selling a lot of things you could use for advertising. I decided to mostly leave the purchasing decisions up to Mayuri. She spent quite a while deciding what to buy. But well, maybe because of all the time she spent at May Queen Plus Nyan Nyan, her taste ran in the direction of cute and anime.
ねえねえ、こっちのハート型のも可愛いよ。
野菜や果物を売るのにハート型なんてどう使うつもりだ？
例えばこんな風に書くのはどうかな。おっきな松茸くん、今夜のおかずに奥さんいかが？
Oh, I am so thankful Daru isn't here.
あとは甘くてとろりん、早く食べてね、熟れたメロンちゃん。
Yeah, no, Okarin.
お前まさか知らないうちにダルに洗脳されたわけじゃないよな。
Oh, I was just saying. Thank God Daru wasn't here. Or Mayuri secretly knows a lot and just puts up a innocent front.
ああいや、なんでもない。
Mayuri looked confused and completely oblivious.
とにかくハート型のポップは不許可だ。うちが怪しい店に見えてしまう。
そうかな。可愛いと思うけどな。
可愛くなくていいんだって。
My original intention of not to interfere had gone by the
そ
wayside.
もそもこれ以上買っても絶対余るぞ。
My shopping cart was filled with cardstock of various colors and shapes.
これだけあれば当分困らないだろ。
そうだね。じゃあここまでにしよう。
We went to the cash register to check out, but since it was Saturday, the checkout area was overflowing with shopping carts. Since it was going to take a while, I sent Mayuri to browse the toy section on another floor. I knew they'd have some stuff from one of her favorite shows, Narine Kakeru. Mayuri looked apologetic but did what I told her to. In the end, I waited a whole 15 minutes at the register. As an apology, I decided to get the present I promised her. She seemed really happy as she stared at the keychain. It was Upa, the mascot character from Lion Kakeru series. I told her when she went over to the toy section she could pick out anything she wanted, and this was what she chose.
ウーパならもう大量に持ってるのにずいぶん嬉しそうだな。しかもそれって普通の緑色のウーパだろ。レアなやつじゃないよな。レアなのは確かメタルウーパだっけか。
The most popular and rarest of the Upas was the shiny silver metal Upa. For example, whenever there was a lottery of rare Line Kakeru stuff at the convenience stores, the top prize was always a metal Upa. Mayuri had told me once that they sold for tens of thousands of yen at auction.
ちっちっち。
For some reason, Mayuri was wagging her finger at me.
違うんだな。これはね、緑のウーパさんだけど普通のとは違うの。この前やってた映画に登場した緑の妖精さんウーパなんだよ。
Come to think of it, there had been a Line Kakeru movie out in spring. Had Mayuri sat in a theater full of little kids to watch it? Yes, and she should not feel shamed.
緑の妖精さん？
映画のネタバレしてもいいかな？
いいぞ、どうせ見ないし。
今回の映画はね、バーチャル世界で悪のスーパーハッカーさんたちとバトルをするんだ。そのバーチャル世界が妖精さんの住む森なのです。スーパーハッカーさんはすごく強くてね、かけるくんもウーパもピンチになっちゃうんだけど、もうダメだっていう時にね、妖精さんたちが助けに来てくれるの。実はその妖精さんたちはかけるくんがお世話をしてた学校の花壇のお花さんたちだったんだよ。いつも優しくしてくれるかけるくんを助けるためにね、バーチャル世界でピカピカーンって光ってウーパと合体するんだ。それがこの緑の妖精さんウーパー。すっごくかわいいし、すっごく強いんだよ。まゆし、感動したな。そういう話に弱いんだ。監督さん天才だよ。
So cute.
なるほどな。
It was rare for Mayuri to get this excited about something. I took a closer look and saw that the design was a little different from the standard Upa. I didn't know a lot about Upas, but I couldn't say exactly what was different.
このキーホルダーね、結構あちこち探してたんだ。すっごく人気があってね、どこも売り切れだったんだよ。まさかハンズに残ってるなんて思わなかったな。
ラッキーだったな。
しかもこれが最後の1個だったんだよ。今日は来てよかった。オカリンとおじさんには感謝しなくちゃ。
Mayuri took to tag off the keychain, got her house key out of her bag, and carefully attached it.
ねえ、オカリン。まゆしーね、これずっと大切にするね。
おお、そうしてくれ。くれぐれも買って5分でなくしたりしないようにな。
She's not gonna. You know, it was still there when in 2036, so it had happened before after all. Oh, the metal Upa. Like the metal Upa I'd won for her at Radikan. Mayuri had lost it no more than 5 minutes after I gave it to her. I wonder if she had never found it. I didn't really want to remember that time in my life, so my memory of what happened to the metal Upa was vague.
もう絶対になくさないのです。
The two of us started to head back.
オカリンのお店のポップ張り切って作るね。
ああ、その作業があったな。
I've been thinking the job was done once we bought the materials. The real work actually began now.
俺も手伝おうか？
大丈夫。マユシーのセンスを信じてほしいな。
ハートマークのポップを買おうとしてた時点でセンスを疑うぞ。
大丈夫だよ。
まあ、ポップを作ってくれるだけでもありがたいから文句は言わないけどな。
お母さんにメールしなきゃ。晩ご飯までには帰りますって。
なんならうちで食べてってもいいぞ。どうせ親父やおふくろが引き止めるだろうし。
どうしようかな。オカリンは今日はこの後ずっと家にいるの？合コンとか行かない？
最近は全然行ってないよ。
Last fall, when I've been trying to become a normal college kid, I forced myself to go to as many as possible. But lately, I've been so busy with my studies that I hadn't had a chance.
そっか。じゃあごちそうになっていこうかな。
Oh, she just wants to spend time with us. Mayuri took out her phone and started to type something when... What's going on? Her expression suddenly darkened. She stopped moving. Oh, is this the last time that we got this text or in this scene was Fubuki?
うん。ついさっきね、楓さんからメールが来てて気づかなかったよ。どうしよう、おかり。
Mayuri seemed like she was on the verge of tears.
何かあったのか？
ねえ、おかり。前に言ってたよね。ふぶきちゃんは病気なんかじゃないって。
ふぶきちゃん？中瀬さんのことか？来島さんの方じゃなくて？
うん。あれって本当に病気じゃないんだよね。
おう、違うはずだ。
でも。
Mayuri showed me her phone. Fubuki-chan's back in hospital. I'm on my way. Here's the location.
また入院しただって。
I couldn't believe what I was seeing on the screen. Well, this has a lot of overlap with the previous scene. Maybe we'll start skipping a little bit. Fubuki was at a different location than before. This time it was the AH Tokyo General Hospital High-Tech Medical Center at Yoyogi. It was supposedly one of Japan's most advanced hospitals. According to what I read on the internet, patients with the new encephalitis that everyone was talking about were being gathered here for special treatment. But I also read lots of really bad urban legends about the place, so I was a bit worried about what kind of horror show I'd find there. But of course, when we arrived, it was nothing like that. It was very clean and decorated like a luxury hotel.
Mayuri-chan, Okarin-san, こっちです。
Kaede and Yuki waved at us as we entered the lobby. Yuki had gotten a message from Kaede as well, and had evidently come right over.
ふぶきちゃんは大丈夫だよ。
Yuki gave Mayuri a soft hug and a smile. Kaede bowed her head apologetically.
驚かせてごめんね。私も焦っちゃって。もっとちゃんと確認してからメールすればよかった。
というと、中瀬さんの容体は？
今、病室でふぶきちゃんのお母さんに会えたんですけど、例の病気が悪化したとかじゃないそうです。
じゃあ、また検査入院とか？
はい、そう言ってました。だから全然心配ないって。なんだ。はあ、よかった。
Mayuri looked extremely relieved as Yuki continued to hug her. If I remembered right, the last time they examined her, they said it was possible she had the disease, but as long as it didn't get worse, it wouldn't affect her daily life. They just told her to come back for regular checkups. The new encephalitis had arrived in Japan over 6 months ago, but the number of patients was still increasing. Fortunately, there hadn't been a single casualty yet.
あれは病気なんかじゃないと思うけどな。
I was certain that what they were calling encephalitis was actually something similar to reading Steiner. One time when I went to visit Fubuki in the hospital, I had secretly investigated the other patients. I wasn't able to get any proof, but I found out most of the patients in her wing had, to varying degrees, memories of the same war line. Many people had memories of Japan at war.
ふぶきちゃんに会えるかな。それがね、今 MRI で脳の検査をしている最中なんですって。だから病室にいないの。
So I think if we see Leskinen here, it would be bad news for Fubuki because he mentioned, I think last time that he got us, that he had tortured Fubuki to get the information about reading Steiner out.
そうなんだ。
I don't
で
know.
ももう少しで終わるみたいよ。ここで待っていてってふぶきちゃんのお母さんが。
I also wonder what the significance of Kagari being in the rounder is. Kaede motioned to Mayuri, indicating she should sit down at a nearby sofa.
検査が終わったら声をかけてくれるみたい。
I let the girls sit down on the sofa and stood next to them while I surveyed the lobby.
すごい病院ですよね。
おおう、中瀬さんの家って実はすごい金持ちだったりするのか？こんなところに入院なんて。
いえ、そうじゃなくってですね。ふぶきちゃんのお母さんの話だと、日本とアメリカの政府がお金を出して新しい治療のプロジェクトを始めるみたいなんです。この病院とアメリカの専門病院や研究所が中心になってやるんだそうですよ。
そうなのか。
America is involved. That gives me bad vibes. And centered around this lab, Victor Condria Brain Science Institute. I wasn't sure how I felt about that. If I was right about what this disease really was, it was hard to imagine a bigger waste of money.
お願いします。患者は全員個室にしてください。それも患者同士が接触しないよう、なるべく離れた部屋で。
Guys, the bad news is here. He is here.
し
Oh
かし
my
ね、
god.
そんな都合よく病床は空いていませんから。
それでもやってくれないとダメです。患者同士が会話をすることで、夢の情報を共有してしまうでしょう。
I don't know what that means. Like maybe something bad happened to Maho while she was at Victor Condria as well. I don't know how much of the other world line, the other ending that I should carry over to this one, because Maho could have been brainwashed, Fubuki too, as part of the
それ
study.
はそうですが。
脳というのはね、他人が見た夢なのに、それに共感を覚えてしまうと、あたかも自分が見た夢のように錯覚してしまう。そういう可能性だってあるのです。
Oh boy. Across the lobby, I saw an old Japanese doctor in a white coat and a big man in a suit who was frantically trying to talk to him.
あ、
I'd seen the man in the suit before. Actually, it was a man I knew well.
教授、レスキネン教授。
I hurried over.
レスキネン教授。俺です。岡部です。
He must have been wearing his translator because he was communicating with the old doctor in Japanese. Dr. Leskinen's face quickly broke into a smile when he saw me.
Oh, Rintaro!
I don't feel comfortable talking to you. His voice was so loud that everyone in the lobby, doctors, nurses, staff, and even the patients, turned to look at me. But Dr. Leskinen didn't even seem to notice them as he ran over. He was like a giant American football player racing for a touchdown.
うわちょっと待ってください教授ストップ
My cries went unheard as Dr. Leskinen tackled me and then pulled me up. Then he switched from football player to pro wrestler and he swung me up and down. I felt like I was a little child. There was nothing I could do to resist him as he flung me around. A moment later, he noticed the cold stares of the people around us and finally released me.
いやはやすまないあまりに驚いてはしゃぎすぎてしまった
Dr. Leskinen bowed to the people around him in apology.
レスキネン先生、この青年とはどういったお知り合いかな？
The doctor that Professor Leskinen had been talking to was staring at me suspiciously. You should not be staring at us suspiciously. You should be staring at this man suspiciously.
その
I wasn't sure exactly what to tell him. It wasn't like he was really my
見
professor.
たところまだ学生のようだが、どこの大学かね？教授と同じ脳科学専攻だとすると。
いえ俺は
彼は9月からビクトゥコンドリア大学の学生ですよいずれ私の研究室に来てもらうつもりでいます
Again, the super sus over eagerness and hospitality.
おほう、ビクトル・コンドリア大学かね。これは驚いた。
I looked over at Dr. Leskinen questioningly, but he just gave me a mischievous smile. This guy, he really was such a kid.
日本人であそこへ行ける学生なんてめったにいない。大したものだ。
どうも
That sounded like a mock, really. After the doctor left, I sighed loudly enough for Professor Leskinen to hear me.
今の人は
この病院の院長だよ
院長そんな偉い人相手に堂々と嘘をついたんですか
おや私は嘘なんてついたかな確かに9月から我が校の学生とは言ったが何も今年の9月からとは言ってないよそれとも何かい君は結局我が校に来る自信がないのかなだったら少し残念だが
He really was like a little kid, completely shameless. But still, it was hard to hate him.
でも驚きましたまさか教授がまた日本に来ているなんて
You will soon learn how to hate him, Okarin. It had been 5 months since I had seen him off at Narita. I looked around for Maho, but I didn't see her anywhere.
ウィンタールはどこか具合でも悪いのかい治療でここに
いえ違います入院してる友人の見舞いで
ああそうかそれはよかいやその友人にとっては良くないか申し訳ない
いえそれで教授こそ日本の病院で何を
Dr. Leskinen brought his face close to mine and whispered so that the people around us couldn't hear him.
君も知っているだろう例の新型脳炎の件だよアメリカ政府の依頼で精神生理学研究所が治療法を研究していたんだが手詰まりらしくてね私も調査に加わるよう大学から命じられたというわけさ
そうなんですかレスキネン教授が新型脳炎を
Now there was a word I didn't expect to hear. I explained that my friend was here because they thought she might have the disease.
もしかしてその友人というのは中瀬克美
And how do you know that?
え ああ、クリスマスパーティーで会ってましたね。
Oh, okay, fair.
実は私が新型の上に興味を持ったのもあのパーティーがきっかけでね。君と克美が揃って倒れただろ。
Oh shit, this is bad. So he knows that we have the same thing, potentially. He was right, actually. In my case, I've been sent to that other world line.
克美には何日か前に再会したんだけどね。私にも何度か噛みついてきてよ。どうしてまた入院させられるんだ。私は元気なのにってね。
Okay, so he has already tortured her. 100%.
そうでしたか。
もう少し協力的になってくれると嬉しいと、リンタロウからも伝えておいてくれないかい。
ああ。
実際のところ、キャツミだけでなく、すべての患者に申し訳ないという気持ちはあるんだ。我々も日本の医師団も研究を進めてはいるんだけどね。どうにも解せない検査結果ばかりで困り果てているのさ。
Dr. Leskinen's usual chipper expression darkened. The man was such a ball of vitality that I hadn't noticed until then, but when his smile disappeared, I could see the wrinkles that had formed on his face from exhaustion. He must have been working hard, like he said.
正直、最初はどの医師もこれほど不可解な病気だとは思っていなかったらしいんだけどね。ん？どうしたんだ、リンタロウ。
あ、その、
何か気になることでも？
いえ。俺は医学生じゃないのでさっぱりです。
I was just about to tell him about my reading Steiner. Good thing you held your tongue. But in the end, I couldn't. If my uninformed opinion was wrong, it could cost the encephalitis patients their lives. I couldn't just tell him when I didn't have any proof. And then his face drew close to mine again.
ところで、その克美がなかなか興味深いことを言っていたんだよ。
Yup.
自分たちは病気じゃない。別の世界の出来事を夢で見る能力があるだけだとかなんとか。
So he's already went through her, basically. I told her not to say anything about it. Could she not help it? No, she couldn't. This was bad. They might start to doubt her sanity.
中瀬さんはとても想像力がたくましいというか、 SF とかアニメとか大好きですから、他の平行世界を感知できる力なんて多分趣味の影響で口にしただけじゃないかと思います。実は俺もそういうことを言っていた時期があるんですよ。
Petition to bring back Hole and Kilma. I tried my best to come up with excuses, but Dr. Leskinen still seemed concerned.
だけどね、私も治療プロジェクトに参加して驚いたんだが、確かにこの病の特徴として多くの患者が夢を共有する不可思議な現象が起こっているんだ。
So he had tortured everyone in this hospital who was brought in, then, I suppose?
集団幻覚に近いのかとも思って今調べているんだけどね。でもなんだろう、こんなことは初めてでね。脳科学的には今のところ解が導けない。正直非科学的という言葉が一番しっくりくるくらいだよ。それこそ平行世界とか前世の記憶とかね。
そ ですか。
君も克美からいろいろと話を聞いてくれると助かるよ。医者に言えないことでも友人になら話すだろうしね。
Huh. Well, you can tell what he's trying to do, right? Get us to talk to Fubuki-chan, and then he could always come back and extract memories from Fubuki by torturing her.
はい、一応心がけておきます。
Jesus Christ.
さて、リンタロウ、それはそれとして確認だ。
Dr. Leskinen was looking over my shoulder.
クリスマスパーティーの時にも感じたんだけれど、君のガールフレンドたちはキュートなお嬢さんばかりだね。
え？
I turned around and saw that Mayuri, Kaede, and Yuki had all stood up from the sofa and were looking at me. When they saw Dr. Leskinen was looking at them, they waved.
やはりあの中に恋人がいたりするのかい？ユキ、カエデ、マユリ、ルカ、それともカツミがそうなのかな？
Luca is a guy. But no, none of these. Our only love is still in your servers, potentially. His words were so surprising I couldn't think of anything to say. Maho would often call this middle-aged man a mischievous boy, and that was exactly the look he had on his face.
いや、別に無理に聞かせてくれとは言わないよ。君のプライベートを詮索する気はないからね。ただ、まあ、可愛い教え子にちょっとした土産話をと思っただけさ。
Dr. Leskinen turned to walk away before I could figure out what he meant. He meant Maho.
それじゃリンタロウ、私はもうちょっと院長と話をしないといけないから、これで。できればユキたちにも一人一人発揮していきたいところだったが、次回にとっておこう。彼女たちによろしく。
はい。
Mayuri and the others came over to me as I watched him go.
今の人、レスキネン先生？
I know, in a very different way, right?
ですよね。どこかで見たことあると思った。
But yes, very, very, ugh.
アメリカに帰ったんじゃなかったでしたっけ？オカリン？
There was no way I could tell the girls what Dr. Leskinen and I were just talking about. Let's go home. After Fubuki's exam was over, we went to her room and listened to her complain. And then the visit was over. Just like Dr. Leskinen had said, she looked just fine. She told us she was ready to leave the hospital and jog all the way home. Mayuri and the others were relieved, but I felt worried. Did I need to talk to Dr. Leskinen about reading Steiner after all? No, absolutely not. But how would I explain it? It might be a better idea to talk to Maho and have her explain it to him. I couldn't come to an answer right away. We said goodbye to Kaede and Yuki at one of the stations on the way back. Before we got to Ikebukuro, I remembered to take out my phone and open the web browser. I went to @channel, eager to see how she'd responded to the bait I'd spread this afternoon. I put my hand over my mouth to stifle the noise. Mayuri had been standing next to me, and she was leaning over at my screen. I baited her, all right? I didn't think it would go this well. The timestamp was from just 30 minutes ago. It was Fitzgerald and Lawrence who based their hypothesis off that experiment. Einstein himself said it had nothing to do with his theories. You don't even know that? How ignorant are you, Ruffle? I decided to respond immediately using the same name, Salieri's neighbor. You're the ignorant one. In a letter written before his death, Einstein said he was aware of Michelson. Are you serious? Alright, whatever. We get it. I posted and reloaded the thread. There was already a response from her. I know that, duh. All he said was that he know of the experiment, obviously. Einstein used Fizeau's experiment and stellar aberration to come up with the theory of relativity. The time lag between the posts was just 21 seconds. So yeah, this has gotta be her, just surveying the internet. It was kind of irritating to have her come after me so hard. It was as if she was insulting me as a person. And don't you miss it, Okarin. Well, I was the one who deliberately written in the mistakes, so I should have expected it. You just can't let anyone else win, can you? I see you haven't changed a bit. Lol. Are you Mozart? The thread's other users were probably confused. Everyone except for her. Mayuri had been watching our exchange and looked at me confused. Okay, this is good now that we've established a connection to Kurisu outside of the Amadeus app. People that use a service primarily used to refer to frequent commentators on anonymous internet message boards.
知り合いなの？その栗ご飯とカメハメハさんって。
まあな。多分古くから付き合いのあるやつだと思う。
Now then, how would she reply to the nickname Salieri's neighbor and the post I just wrote? I was curious, but it wasn't an immediate response like before. The train reached Ikebukuro Station.
Okarin, 着いたよ.
The train slid into the station and then stopped. I reloaded the thread one more time before the door opened. And there was a very short response from Kurigohan in Kamehameha. Who are you? There could be no doubt now. This Kurigohan in Kamehameha was Kurisu. Awesome. We're in Suzuha now. Or wording. We're in Suzuha's eyes now. It was a very hot day in 1998 when Suzuha said goodbye to Shina Kagari. She'd gone to get food and water from a local store. And when she come back and opened the hatch, Kagari was inside, screaming. And now we know that Kagari probably was planted next to Mayuri, potentially. And she, I don't know, has had combat training before, yeah, for sure. She looked inside and saw that Kagari was slamming her tiny hands down the control console.
お前、何をしてるんだ?
Kagari shrank back when she saw Suzuha.
違うの。これは、答えろ。だって目を覚ましたら鈴葉お姉ちゃんがいなくて
暗で明かりもつかないし、狭くて怖くて苦しくて。だから係ドアを開けたくて。それであちこちいじってるうちにこんなことに。
Kagari started to cry.
ごめんなさい、鈴葉お姉ちゃん。ごめんなさい。でも本当に怖かったんだ。だから。
そうか。
Suzuha relaxed her guard. Kagari had PTSD from her time as a war orphan, and she hadn't fully recovered yet. Mayuri had once told her that she got very frightened in dark and cramped spaces. It would make sense if waking up in the dark caused a panic attack. And the time machine could only function with Suzuha's biometric authorization. Someone of Kagari's size wouldn't be able to break the council either.
お前は時間移動のショックで気を失ってたんだよ。だから休ませておいたんだけど、悪かった。
Suzuha grabbed one of Kagari's tiny hands to help her up, and then led her outside of the machine. Oh, that's very different from last time.
かがり、約束するんだ。どんなことがあっても操縦席のスイッチに触ったりするな。いいな。じゃあ私は仕事にかかるから、お前はその辺で休んでるんだ。飲み物と食べ物は適当に食べていい。
Suzuha handed Kagari the provisions she'd bought, and then went inside and poked her head into the cargo space under the control console. Never mind, I was wrong. She connected the IBM 5100 she'd stored there to a portable terminal she'd brought from the future. By all appearances, it was an early 2000s cell phone, but inside it was a miniature quantum computer from the year 2036. Of course, future Dadu made him himself. When she booted up the IBM 5100, rows of numbers started to appear on screen.
何をするの？
Kagari was looking in from outside the machine.
2000年問題は勉強したか？
施設の学校でちょっとだけ。結局何にも起こらなかったんでしょ？
表向きはね。公表されてないけど、実は当時あれのせいでいくつかの地域や国に深刻な問題が起きたんだ。
そうなの？
問題だったのはこの IBN5100 というコンピューターなんだよ。これには古いプログラム言語が搭載されてるんだけど、そのプログラムの問題点を技術者たちが修正できなかった。というより、そんな言語で書かれた重大なプログラムが存在すること自体全く知られてなかった。第三次世界大戦はタイムマシンの開発競争が発端なんだけど、もしかすると2000年問題で発生したある事象とそれに付随する対立こそがもっと深い原因である可能性がある。
She didn't expect a 10-year-old like Kagari to understand this, but she didn't feel like taking the time to explain.
しかも西暦2000年というのは特殊な年でね、すべての世界線が一旦一つに収束してしまうらしいんだ。それに関連してこの問題があらゆる世界線の因果に重大な影響を引き起こすかもしれない。私たちが目指してる狭間の世界線、シュタインズゲートも例外じゃない。
She looked down at the terminal connected to the IBM 5100.
だからこれは2000年問題を起こさないようにするための修正プログラムなんだよ。
Right now, the terminal was converting the patch into the language used by the IBM 5100. The next step was to spread this program all around the world in the form of a virus, and the year 2000 problem that this era's engineers missed would completely disappear. The word connect appeared on the terminal subscreen.
OK つながった。
She had been told that in Japan in this era, ADSL was still in the test phase, and normal users connected to the internet by low-speed dial-up using ISDN. I think I've read these before. Integrated Services Digital Network, a completely digital network that used digital exchanges, relays, and subscriber lines. It was a lot faster than the analog lines that were originally used by dial-up internet services, but its user base massively decreased after the introduction of ADSL, a much faster line. ADSL, short for Asymmetric Digital Subscriber Line, a type of internet connection that uses telephone line for high-speed data transmission. In the early 2000s, ADSL quickly replaced ISDN as the de facto method of connecting to the internet. However, in the latter part of the decade, fiber optic internet services, a much faster service utilizing fiber optic cables, became more popular, and the number of ADSL users has declined ever since. TLDR, net slang short for too long, didn't read. Typically used to request a short summary of a lengthy post or thread, but it can also refer to the summary itself. But in major city areas like Akihabara, universities, labs, and some big computer companies were starting to use fiber optic internet. Some of them were even using wireless LANs. Suzuha cracked her way into one of those. Dad had laughed when he said that with 2036 technology, cracking late 20th century network security was a joke. But he'd been right.
でも、未来を変えちゃったら、かがりたちがいた未来の世界も全然変わっちゃうんじゃないの?
Surprisingly, Kagari had gotten the gist of what Suzu had just told her.
そういうことだ。もうあの世界は存在させない。私たちはシュタインズゲートを目指すためにここへ来たんだから。
Oh, okay. I think it's finally clicking. So the Kagari's central thesis is that she wants everything to happen the way that it is, the way that it happened. And she doesn't want any changes because of what's about to happen next. Suddenly, the uneasy look on Kagari's face vanished. It was as if her soul had left its body. Suddenly her face was expressionless, and her eyes were wide.
声。神様の声。聞こえる。かがり?
It's her whatever kicking in.
ダメだよ。よくないよ。ダメなんだよ、鈴葉お姉ちゃん。そんなことしちゃいけないんだ。おい。
Kagari was acting strangely. Suspiciously, Suzuha reached her hand out toward her, but she slipped past Suzuha's hand. And quicker than any child should be able to move, she slammed her shoulders straight into Suzuha's body. Suzuha was caught completely off guard. That's how fast it was. Kagari's shoulder hit her in the solar plexus. Solar plexus! She bent over and collapsed onto the seat. Kagari tore the terminal out of Suzuha's hands. The cables connecting it to the IBM 50100 were ripped out, and errors displayed on both screens.
お前、何を?
Solar plexus, and also, how do you feel about yet another very strangely capable child? Kagari didn't answer the question. Instead, she grabbed the backpack that Suzuha had placed on the seat and spilled its content onto the floor. Hi, Rufus! There were MREs, spare parts, clothes, and a semi-automatic pistol. Suzuha couldn't believe it. Kagari was going to try and pick it up. She forced herself to ignore the pain as she jumped on Suzuha's body. But another unbelievably powerful body slam knocked her back. Yeah, children in this game are terrifying. Something cold was pushed right up against her brow. Kagari's tiny hands weren't shaking at all as they clutched the semi-automatic pistols. In the space of an instant, the safety of the gun had been flipped off. That's when Suzuha realized that this wasn't just a temper tantrum. Suzuha was the one who taught her how to use a gun. That's why she knew that Kagari was perfectly calm.
正気か？今すぐ銃を下ろせ。こんな真似はやめろ。
やめるのはお姉ちゃんの方だよ。
何？
世界を変えちゃいけないんだ。お姉ちゃんはおかしいこと言ってる。
There was no hesitation in her eyes. Instead, Suzuha only saw resolve.
じゃあ、このまま戦争が起きてもいいっていうのか？
そんなのわかんないよ。カガリは元の世界に戻りたいだけだもん。
She's, quote, protecting her mother at all cost, unquote.
なら、もう無理だ。私たちはタイムマシンですでに過去に干渉してる。世界線だってずれてしまってるはずだ。あそこに戻れる可能性は低く。うるさい。カガリはママを絶対に助けるんだ。この世界を消すなんてダメだよ。絶対にやらせないから。
Kagari turned the gun toward the IBN 5100.
やめろ。
Oh my gosh, she fired. Before Suzuha could stop her, she yanked down the trigger. Again and again.
やめてくれ、カガリ。やめろ。
And then Kagari jumped out of the time machine, and Suzuha never saw her again. Times. On every night that passed, she remembered Kagari. Suzuha had spent some time looking for Kagari when she first come to this era, but in the end, she never found anything. But Shina Kagari, who was now 22 years old, was here in Akihabara. Suzuha was sure of it.
Oh, Mahotan! Osu!
Itaru was sitting at the computer next to Suzuha and talking to his monitor. The monitor was displaying a video chat screen. On the screen was a young girl dressed in slovenly fashion. No, a proper full-grown lady. Wow, this is how I felt every morning. It's okay. I feel you. Oh boy. I love her. That's a phenomenal face. It was 8:30 p.m. at the Future Gadgets Lab in Akihabara. Meanwhile, Victor Condria was an hour off from the usual due to daylight savings time, and it was 7:30 a.m.
ヒヤジョーさん、大丈夫？
She is not okay. Does she look like she's
この
okay?
時間だし寝起きっしょ。
Shiva has, oh my god. Shiva has drool coming out of her mouth. Can you see? That's amazing. I love it. Maho was a mess. Her hair was never combed right, but her eyes were bloodshot and her gaze was wandering. The spots under her eyes were too dark for the little bit of makeup she'd applied to cover them up. Her cheeks were sunken, which made her look even tinier than usual. On top of all that, her skin was terribly pale. She looked like something out of a zombie movie.
低血圧魔法炭も燃える。
Normally, she would have gotten upset at Itaru's joke, but either she'd gotten used to it or simply given up because she said nothing.
そっちの進展はどう？
なんとかオカリンが分解しちゃう前の状態に組み立て直したお。機能はほぼ再現できてると思われ。
Itaru glanced toward the development room past the curtains in the back of the lab. Right now, he was working with Maho to recreate what Okabe had called the time leap machine. Uh-oh.
うまくいかないの？
なんか安定しないっつうか、普通の電子レンジになっちゃうんだよね。
そう。何がいけないのかしらね。
オカリンにそこんところの話を聞ければ違ってくるんだけどな。
Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me think about this. So, Leskinen is in Japan, but Maho is still in the US. So Maho didn't come with him this time. So maybe she was never brainwashed, hopefully.
無理だよ。私たちがこんなことしているって知っただけで怒鳴り込んでくるよ。おじさんは恐れているんだ。世界線の収束する力というものを。あの人を説得するのは容易じゃない。
In fact, it had almost been a year since she first tried and failed. There was a moment of silence.
って魔法炭、もしかして寝てんじゃね？
See, this is the kind of comic relief that I appreciate. I'm not a huge fan of like all the naked girls, but like this is cute. Oh, Maho, sleeping with your eyes open. Maho's whole body jerked and she almost fell out of her chair.
危なかったわ。出勤前なのに二度寝してしまうところだった。
つうか頑張りすぎだお。無理して体壊したら意味なくね？
Your favorite face from now on.
このくらい平気よ。というか、これだけやってもまだ天才にはかなわないんだから。
そんなことないと思うけどな。僕はさ、魔法炭だって十分天才だと。
気休めなら不要よ。岡部さんの言っていたタイムリープ、こんなにヒントはあるのに、未だに解を見つけられないんだもの。
It would make a good emote, yes. Yes, it would.
記憶データなんて膨大なものをどうやって圧縮して過去へ送ることができたのか。クリスはそれをやってのけたっていうのに。
Wait, hold on. Oh, and send it to the past. Okay, never mind. Maho seemed upset. It was obvious even through the mirror. The monitor, wow.
ああ、ごめんなさい。愚痴をこぼしている場合じゃなかったわね。今日の報告、他に何かあるかしら？なければそろそろ出勤しようと思うのだけれど。
I think you should go back to bed, girl.
もう一つある。
Susa looked at Itaru.
前から調べてほしいって頼まれてた件について。
何か分かったの？
はっきりしたことはまだ。
そう。
What secret dealings are they doing?
あちこちのネットワークに強引に侵入したりとかギリギリまではやってみたんだお。
別に責めたりしないわ。今分かっていることを教えてちょうだい。
いやむしろ激しく罵倒とかしてくれて OK なわけだが。
Daru, move on.
王さん。
早くして時間が来ちゃうから。
ほいほい。
Itaru opened a different window on the monitor. He displayed one of the text files in it. It was a record of the information Itaru and Suzuha had collected.
まず魔法団たちがホテルの地下駐車場で襲われた事件。警察の発表だと新興カルト教団の男が違法薬物を使った末にって話になってるけど、あれ間違いなく嘘だわ。
嘘？
犯人の身元は警察発表通り某大学の准教授。これはいいんだけどさ、そいつが宗教団体に所属してたっつう事実がこれっぽっちも出てこないんだよね。公安が隠し持ってる教団員のデータにもアクセスしてみたから確定。
捏造ってことなのね。
アットチャンネルとか見てるとさ、信者っぽい人が時々書き子するんだよね。教団は無実だとか陰謀だとか。そうすると一瞬でものすごい数の教団アンチが湧いてきてフルボッコなわけ。
Alright, let's learn. Flame net slang refers to the act of harshly insulting and or trolling someone online, sometimes as a group. Hater. People who post negative comments about someone or something on the internet. They appear in places where fans of those people or things gather and provoke them by posting derogatory things. It's not rare for them to cause emotional debate among fans.
しかもそのアンチども、もっともらしい偽の証拠とかガンガン出してくるんだよ。画像付きとかで。いくらなんでもあれはちょっと異常。
そうなの？私そのアットチャンネルというのをあまりよく知らないから。
アットちゃん含めてさ、大抵の大手サイトには工作員が張り付いてるもんなんだよ。しかもビジネスとしてバイト代もらってね。朝から晩まで24時間ぶっ通しで。
情報操作、プロパガンダだね。
Propaganda. Propaganda, the propagation of a particular ideology, often used primarily for the spread of political or religious principles and ideas. The use of the mass media to manipulate public opinion also falls under this definition. This method of propagating information first saw use in the Roman Empire, but ever since the 20th century and the advent of 2 world wars, the tactic was expanded and grown all the more sophisticated. In some cases, the propaganda being spread is not necessarily true. If the principles and ideas of the propaganda will still be conveyed properly and it is advantageous to the propagandist, false information can be nonchalantly mixed into content, as well as slander against the enemy party.
政治家や官僚なんかもネット世論の誘導に利用してるし、それを専門にしてる会社もあるくらいだお。
なるほど。それならわかるわ。そのあたりはアメリカも日本も同じね。
でも工作員なんて僕からしたら IP 変えてもバラバラなんで。それでチェックしてみたら、あの事件すごい人数の工作員が投入されてるっぽい。どこからそんなに金が出てるんだよってレベル。
そう。
父さんのバイト先が襲われた方の事件は？
そっちも同じ。
The police had called it a fight between four mafias trying to expand their territory in Japan. The media never questioned the story at all, and even people on the boards of the famously skeptical ad channel believed everything they were told. Of course, there was no mention whatsoever of Russia or CERN.
でさ、試しに目撃者を装ってロシアの特殊部隊を見たってすれ立ててみたんだよね。そしたらまあすごいのなんの、炎上しすぎてびっくりしたお。あん時は思わず工作員の本名から会社名まで全部晒してやろうかと思ったっつうの。
Evidently, he'd been really irritated. It was rare for Itaru to get so angry, or maybe it wasn't, she decided.
つまり、どこかから圧力がかかっていて、幕引きにされたってことね。さすがは、自由の国日本だけのことはあるわ。
アメリカも似たようなもんじゃんね。
違いないわね。
The two of them smiled at the joke.
つうわけで、僕としてはお手上げ。
そう。それで十分よ。調べてくれてありがとう。
ヒヤジョーさん、研究所から来日の許可は下りそうなの？
それが、レスキネン教授の助手として連れて行ってもらえるよう何回も申請しているのだけれど、却下の連続なのよ。
レスキネン教授は今こっちに来てるんだっけ？
ええ、新型脳炎の調査でね。
Since it had nothing to do with artificial intelligence, it seemed Maho wouldn't be allowed to go alone.
いいわ。どうしてもダメと言うなら、こっちにも考えがあるもの。
どうする気？
まさか上官の命令無視してでも正義を貫くとか？そして悪に捕まってしまうんですね。わかります。ねえねえマホタン、殺せって言ってみて。できればすごく悔しそうな顔で。
は？
Yeah, exactly.
父さん。
Suzuha's hand went for her back pocket.
させん。
Itaru's shoulders slumped as he apologized. Lately, she's been able to put a stop to Itaru's terrible jokes just by doing that. She wasn't sure if it was a good thing or a bad thing that she knew exactly how to handle him.
ま、とにかく近々そっちへ行くわ。
I mean, she could just buy a ticket and come, right?
わかった。日程が決まったら連絡を。それとヒヤジョーさん、出勤するならもう一度鏡を見てからにした方がいい。
Just before they ended the call, Suzuha decided to warn her. Maho stood up and walked towards the closet without turning off the camera. She vanished from view, and a moment later. She must have seen how terrible she looked because she let out a very unfeminine scream. They relaxed for a moment after turning off the video chat. Suzuha thought back to the time before she'd become a time traveler. She did this every time she got off the video chat with Maho.
タイムマシン開発の協力者、ヒヤジョーマホか。
It was after Maho had gone back to America that she'd volunteered to help Suzuha and Itaru with the time machine. That meant that when Hasta Itaru completed the time machine 25 years from now, Hyazo Maho must have contributed in some way. But...
あんまり未来のことを言うのはまずいんだけど、父さんの仲間にそんな名前の人いなかったんだよね。
え、そうなん？
ということはさ、どこかのタイミングで開発メンバーから抜けるってことなんじゃないかな。自分の意思なのか、
それ以外の外的要因なのかはわからないけど。
Wait a second. She only offered to help after she had gone back to the States. Maybe she was brainwashed after all.
少なくとも開発の主要メンバーじゃなかったと思う。
そうなのか。かなり頼もしい人だけどな。
こんなことを言いたくはないけど、どこかのスパイという可能性もある。
いくらなんでもマホタンに限ってそれはないよ。
ごめん。でもそういう可能性もあるっていうことだけは頭に入れておいて。言ったでしょ、第3次世界大戦前の情報戦はもう始まってるんだ。どっちにしろマシンの秘密が無駄に漏れるのは困るよ。それだけは徹底するようちゃんと注意しておいてよね。で、この先のタイムマシン開発はどう進めていくつもり？
やっぱオカリンの協力がないとな。
結局そこなんだよね。オカリンおじさん、やっぱり無理なのかな。こうなったら力ずくで。
前にそれしようとして失敗したのはどこの誰だっけ？
Suzuha pursed her lips. Even with a gun in his face, Okabe Rintaro still wouldn't get in the time machine. To be honest, Suzuha was out of options. She stifled a sigh. It didn't do any good to let herself down.
そういえば、母さんとはうまくやれてる？
な？
私、そっちの方も心配なんだ。大丈夫？私が生まれてこなくなるような事態にならないよね。
なんつうの？タイムマシンよりもなんだい？
ちょっと。
Suzuha stormed over to Itaru.
困るよ、父さん。
パパ、頑張るからね。
いっつも口ばっかり。結局例の映画のチケットも無駄にしちゃったんでしょ？
She meant the pair of movie tickets that Mayuri and Ferris had conspired to give them at the Christmas party.
あれはさ、オカリンと吹雪氏が倒れちゃったじゃん。その後お見舞いとかでバタバタしてるうちに映画が終わっちゃってたわけで、しょうがないっつうか。
でもその後新しいチケットを用意しようとしたら断ったって聞いたけど。
誰に？
まゆ姉さんとルミ姉さんに決まってるじゃないか。
そりゃあれだよ。マユシとフェイリスターに頼りきりなんて男らしくないっしょ。キリ
で、自分で何か行動に移したわけ？ダメだこれ。
Maybe this was a more important problem than the time machine. Suzuha brought her hands up to her head.
いい父さん。私、いつまでもこうやってお説教できないんだからね。もうすぐ行っちゃうんだよ。
Suddenly there was a sad look in Itaru's eyes.
そういう顔しない。約束したはずだよ。もう迷うのはやめにしようって。
For the past 6 months, Suzuha had been thinking about whether it was really right to erase this world. But in the end, it was none other than Itaru who would push her to go ahead.
ごめん。
She couldn't bear to see her father so depressed, so she pat his broad back.
しょぼくれてないで母さんにメールして。予定の空いてる日がないか聞いて。で、空いてたら映画に誘う。
いきなりハードル高すぎ。
高
高すぎでも何でもいいから誘いなさい。いい？これは命令だからね。
命令って。
返事は？
さあ、イエスさあ。
Satisfied, she headed off to take a shower.
あ、でもその前にちょっとだけコンビニに行ってくる。
何しに？
いや、実は夕食がまだっつうか、今夜も徹夜になりそうだし、遅くならないうちに買い出しようと。
Still hunched over, he pointed toward the development room. He was pointing at the phone wavening subject to change Unit -02 that was put together but still undergoing testing.
睨まないで。なるべく太らないようなものを食べますんで、何卒お許しを。
バニラ。
はい。
私、シャワー出たらアイス食べたい。バニラ。
うん、わかった。庶民がなかなか口にできない高級なやつをいっぱい買ってきてあげる。
いっぱいはいらないよ。一つでいい。
さあ、イエスさあ。
That was enough to cheer Daru up. He took his wallet and ran out of the lab.
やれやれ。世話がかかるんだから。
Oh god, is it gonna be that scene again? She had just taken off her shower so she could take that shower, but... Wow, my brain. Jacket, right? Not shower? She had just taken off her jacket so she could take that shower. Woo! Itaru had come back into the lab.
どうかした？
階段のところにさ、こんなの落ちてたんだよね。
Itaru showed her a keychain he was holding. It was a round anime character whose color had faded into a smoky green. It was an Upa.
誰のかわかる？
まゆ姉さんじゃないの？
She leaned forward to take a closer look, and then felt like she was experiencing déjà vu.
このウーパー、どこかで。
She's seen it before? She couldn't really remember when, but her internal alarms were going off. Guys, is that new door to the lab coming yet? Clearly not. This keychain was extremely important. Upas were common enough that you could find them anywhere. The plastic edges had worn down, the paint was faded and coming off in places. But there was no dust, there was no stains, and instead, this one shone brightly, as if its owners had put a lot of effort into taking good care of it. The chain was so old that part of it had snapped off. It was probably how it got dropped.
どこだっただろう。どこかで見た。
まゆしに見せてもらったとか？
そうなのかな。
She stared at the green upa in Nitaru's hands, and then in her mind she heard a young girl scream.
ママがずっと大切にしてきたウーパのキーホルダーだよ。かがりちゃんにあげる。大事にしてね。
She gasped. A feeling of indescribable terror raced down her spine.
まさかこれかがりのか。
That was when she'd last seen it, August 13th, 2036. The day she'd gone into the time machine. That's when she'd seen this upa. It was older and more worn now, but the more she remembered that day, the more certain she became. This was the upa that Mayuri had given to Kagari. She'd seen Kagari holding it and crying to herself many times before.
カガリってもしかして未来のマユシの娘？
うん。
見つかったん？
いや、でも向こうはこっちを認識しているんだ。
つまりどういうことだってばよ。
あいつこのラボを監視してるんだよ。
6 months ago, Suzuha had spotted someone in a riding suit spying on the time machine at Arikon. Even though the figure managed to elude her back then, Suzuha was certain that it had to be Kagari. Ever since then, her careful efforts to defend the time machine had paid off, and she hadn't even seen any sign of Kagari, but she never thought she'd be spying on the lab as well.
いや、ちょっと考えれば当たり前のことだったんだ。あいつは私たちがシュタインズゲートに到達するのを阻止しようとしてる。この世界をなかったことにしたくないと思ってる。ということは私だけじゃなく父さんもマークされてる。
え、僕？
まあ父さんの命に危険はないとは思うんだ。世界線の摂理を信じるなら父さんは少なくとも2036年までは生きるはずだし、ただシュタインズゲート到達を阻止するために父さんの研究の邪魔はしてくるかもしれない。
A lot of bad things have been happening around Suzuha, Itaru, and Okabe Rintaro. There was some possibility that the final target was Itaru.
これからは用心のために私がいない時には必ずドアに鍵をかけておいて。
But the problem is, we all know that this door is only like metaphysically there. It's not actually there. It doesn't matter if you lock it or anything. People are just gonna walk right through it. It doesn't matter.
わかったよ。
オカリンおじさんや母さんやマユ姉さんたちが一緒にいても絶対に開けっぱなしはダメだよ。気休めかもしれないけどドアチェーンもかけた方がいい。
でもさ、オカリンやマユシならともかくアマネシと二人きりの時にそんなことしたらなんか別の意味で怪しくね？アマネシに変な誤解されないかな？
それは確かに。
もしそれで嫌われでもしたら我が家のピンチだお。
Suzuha had grown softly, unsure of what to do.
父さんがもっと早く母さんと恋人になってれば何の問題もないのに。
で、結局そこへ話が戻るとか？
とにかく注意だけはしておいてよね。
Suzuha decided to keep the green Upa keychain. She softly ran her fingertips over it as she stared at it.
なあ、鈴葉、かがりたんって血はつながってないけどマユシの娘なんだよね。
そうだよ。
あのマユシに育ててもらった子が人を襲うような恐ろしい人間になるのかな？
I mean, I think she has other things that overrides the morality that Mayuri has instilled her with.
なんか鈴葉の話とイメージが重ならないっつうか、もっと優しくてホワホワしてて可愛い女の子になってるんじゃないかなとか思ったり。
だとよかったんだけど。私も前はそうなると信じてたけど、今のかがりは多分。
From what she'd seen at Arikon, she could tell Kagari had definitely received professional combat training. It wasn't just the simple self-defense techniques that she had learned from Suzuha when she was a child. As she'd grown up, she'd been taught the cold techniques of a killer. There was no way to know where she'd been or what she'd been doing ever since she'd gone missing in 1998. But there was no doubt in Suzuha's mind that she was trying to ruin her plans. I think, you guys, we're gonna start tomorrow with more showers. I'm probably gonna stop here. Let me update the shower counter really quick. We're at 5 showers, even though this is kind of a repeat shower, but we'll handle that. Let's save this. Pandora's box. And I don't know. We might be fast tracking through this tomorrow. This was anyway. You guys will see, or I'll have more patience tomorrow. At the beginning of the stream for more naked ladies. Thank you all for being here. Let me see if there's. You know what? I don't think I'm gonna raid. I'm a little wiped, so. Go watch your favorite streamers. But thank you guys for being here. I apologize for the sound. Maybe we can go back to the title menu. But yeah, thanks so much. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, and we will continue from where we just left off. And have a wonderful day ahead, night, morning, evening, wherever you may be, and just stay safe, take care until next time, alright? I'll talk to you guys then. Bye! Have a good night, Kat. And have a wonderful night, Maki. Thank you all for being here. I'm a little melty brain, but that's the typical Steins Gate experience, isn't it? Alright, have a wonderful night, everybody. Bye-bye.